Admiral Reyna Blackwood stood at the curved window of Lunar Base Alpha, her reflection ghosting against the Earth's blue-white sphere beyond. The holographic display before her showed what the rest of humanity's solar observation network had detected: a massive fleet of warships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. "Time to arrival?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. The question was more for the benefit of the United Earth Defense Council members attending virtually, their avatars hovering in the air around her. 72 hours at their current velocity, Admiral, responded Dr. Kai Chen, Earth's chief of Xenoscience. The Kraxan fleet matches our deep space probe's predictions exactly. Approximately 300 vessels, primarily warships with support craft. Reyna allowed herself a small smile. For decades, humanity had maintained an elaborate facade of technological mediocrity. While officially struggling with basic rocket technology and fossil fuels, Earth's true capabilities had advanced far beyond what any alien civilization suspected. The quantum sensors that detected the approaching fleet were themselves disguised as defunct weather satellites. Operation Looking Glass remains in effect, she announced to the Council. All surface installations will maintain 21st century appearance. Subsurface and orbital defense systems remain in stealth mode. The Council members nodded in agreement. They had rehearsed this scenario countless times since first detecting the Kraxan Empire's expansion toward Earth space 15 years ago. Every civilian on the planet knew their role in this grand deception, from the deliberately inefficient power plants to the carefully maintained appearance of political discord between nations. The Kraxan advance scouts have begun their preliminary scans, reported General Santos, his avatar flickering slightly. Our quantum dampening field is working perfectly. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see: primitive satellite networks, basic nuclear capabilities, and scattered military forces. Reyna brought up another holographic display, this one showing Earth's true defensive capabilities. Beneath the quantum dampening field, a network of advanced weaponry and defensive systems encompassed the entire solar system. Automated defense platforms hibernated within seemingly dead asteroids. The dark side of the moon housed humanity's real space fleet, vessels that incorporated technology centuries beyond what Earth officially possessed. Dr. Chen, update on the Kraxan psychological profile, Reyna asked. The xenoscientist's avatar stepped forward, manipulating data streams with practiced ease. The Kraxan Empire follows a predictable pattern with what they classify as pre-spacefaring civilizations. First contact, followed by a show of overwhelming force, then offering protection in exchange for complete submission. They pride themselves on their supposed technological superiority. "Pride comes before the fall," murmured Secretary General Patel, her avatar straightening. "Our intelligence suggests they've never encountered a civilization that successfully resisted their initial show of force." "Then they're in for quite a surprise," Reyna replied, watching as the first Kraxan scout ships entered the outer solar system. Their sensors swept outward, examining what they believed to be a primitive civilization ripe for conquest. They passed within kilometers of Earth's most powerful weapon platforms without detecting them. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in what officially appeared to be an abandoned research station, Earth's quantum supercomputers analyzed every scrap of data from the approaching fleet. They compiled weaknesses, tactical patterns, and technological capabilities, adding to the vast database humanity had built while watching the Kraxan Empire's expansion. "Initiate surface protocols," Reyna commanded. Across the planet, carefully orchestrated chaos began. Stock markets showed predictable instability. Military forces moved in seemingly panicked patterns. Social media erupted with manufactured conspiracy theories about the approaching ships. "Broadcast the detection of their fleet in exactly 4 hours," she continued. "Make it appear as though our deep space telescopes just noticed them. Follow with the appropriate level of government denials, then gradual confirmation." The council members nodded, their avatars fading one by one until only Dr. Chen remained. "Admiral," he said quietly, The Kraxan Empire has conquered 17 civilizations in the past century. None survived initial contact with their full independence intact. Reyna's smile turned predatory as she watched the alien fleet approach. 17 civilizations that didn't spend the last 50 years preparing for them. Doctor. 17 civilizations that didn't have our advantages. She gestured to the holographic display of Earth's hidden defenses. Let them come thinking we're sheep. They'll soon learn humanity is anything but prey. As if in response to her words, a Kraxan scout ship passed through the orbit of Neptune, its sensors examining what appeared to be a primitive space probe. The probe was actually a quantum-linked command node, recording every detail of the alien vessel's capabilities. Within the lunar base's secure servers, combat simulations updated in real time, calculating optimal strategies for the coming conflict. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, advancing their technology in secret while presenting a carefully crafted image of a divided, primitive species to the galaxy. Now, as the Kraxan fleet approached with conquest in mind, that deception would prove to be their greatest weapon. The trap was set. All that remained was for their overconfident adversaries to spring it. The Kraxan diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with deliberate slowness, its crystalline hull catching the sunlight in what its occupants surely meant as an intimidating display. Below, in the carefully staged United Nations emergency session, Ambassador Sarah Chen fought to keep her expression appropriately anxious. High Commander Vexthal stood at the ship's command center, his scaled features displaying what passed for smugness among his species. "Observe how their primitive defense craft escort us," he remarked to his subordinates. Such quaint chemical propulsion systems. The F-35 fighters accompanying the alien vessel were indeed primitive, by design. What the Kraxans couldn't detect were the quantum-linked sensors within each aircraft, analyzing every aspect of the alien ship's capabilities. The pilot's neural interfaces, disguised as standard radio communications, fed constant streams of data to Earth's defense network. Inside the UN building, the gathered world leaders maintained their practiced facade of barely controlled panic. Video feeds showed crowds gathering in cities worldwide, a carefully orchestrated mix of protest, fear, and wonder. Social media algorithms crafted by Earth's AI systems generated exactly the right amount of chaos and speculation. The Kraxan delegation made their entrance with calculated grandeur. Vexthal's environmental suit towered over the human delegates, its crystalline components gleaming under the chamber lights. What he didn't realize was that every component of his supposedly advanced technology was being scanned and analyzed by sensors hidden throughout the chamber. "People of Earth," Vexthal's translated voice boomed through the assembly hall. "We come representing the mighty Kraxan Empire, bringing enlightenment to promising young civilizations across the galaxy." Ambassador Chen rose from her seat, her hands trembling slightly, a masterful touch of acting that didn't go unnoticed by the alien delegation. We are honored by your presence, High Commander. Though I must admit, your arrival has caused some concern among our people." The alien leader's facial scales shifted in what Earth's stenologists had long ago identified as an expression of condescending amusement. "Your concern is natural, but unnecessary. The Kraxan Empire offers protection and guidance to developing worlds such as yours." Behind her diplomatic mask, Sarah fought back a smile. The Kraxans were following their standard first contact protocol, exactly as predicted. Their guidance would soon be revealed as demands for resources and territory, backed by threats of orbital bombardment. "To demonstrate our benevolence," Vexthal continued, "we offer you this gift." A device materialized in the center of the chamber, a power generator that the Kraxans clearly considered impressive. To humanity's hidden quantum technology, it was practically an antique. Dr. James Morrison, Earth's leading physicist according to carefully crafted public records, approached the device with appropriate wonder. His neural implants, undetectable to Kraxan scanners, were already dissecting its outdated design. "This remarkable device," Vexthal explained, "could power one of your larger cities. We offer such technology freely, asking only for your cooperation in joining the greater galactic community." In her secure bunker beneath the Rockies, Admiral Blackwood watched the exchange through quantum feeds. "They're scanning everything," she noted to her staff. "Building layouts, technology levels, reaction patterns. Our countermeasures are holding perfectly." The Kraxan delegation proceeded with their presentation, displaying holograms of their empire's extent. They showed carefully selected images of worlds that had benefited from their protection, worlds that humanity's deep space intelligence network had already identified as subjugated colonies. "We will return in 3 standard days," Vexthal announced as the session concluded. "We trust you will make the wise choice for your species' future." The threat underlying his words was clear to everyone present. After the Kraxans departed, Sarah Chen made her way to a secure conference room. The holographic displays showed the alien ship ascending through the atmosphere, still escorted by primitive fighter jets. "They bought it completely," she reported to the gathered world leaders. "Their scans showed exactly what we wanted them to see. Their arrogance is working against them. They're so convinced of their superiority that they're not looking deeper." "What's their next move?" President Garcia asked, his avatar flickering slightly in the secure transmission. "Based on previous conquest patterns," Sarah replied, "they'll position their fleet for a show of force. They expect us to either surrender immediately or attempt some futile resistance, giving them an excuse for orbital bombardment." Admiral Blackwood's avatar nodded. "Our quantum sensors have mapped every weakness in their ship's design. Their shield frequencies, weapon systems, command and control networks. Everything. When they make their move, they'll learn too late that humanity isn't the primitive species they imagine." In orbit, Earth's hidden defense grid continued its silent watch. Weapon platforms disguised as debris tracked the departing Kraxan vessel. Within the moon's secret shipyards, humanity's true fleet stood ready, their technology centuries beyond anything the Kraxans could imagine. The stage was set for the final act of humanity's great deception. In 3 days, the Kraxan Empire would learn the costly lesson of underestimating Earth. Would you like me to continue with Part 3? Fleet Captain Nixera stood at her scanning station aboard the Kraxan flagship, her brow ridges furrowed in confusion. Something about the human planet's defense readings wasn't adding up, but she couldn't quite identify what was wrong. "Report, Captain," High Commander Vexthal demanded, noticing her hesitation. "High Commander, I'm detecting inconsistencies," she replied carefully. "The human satellite network appears primitive, yet there are moments when our scanners detect brief energy signatures that shouldn't be possible with their level of technology." Vexthal dismissed her concerns with a wave of his armored hand. "Sensor ghosts, nothing more. Their most advanced weapons still use chemical propellants. Their space station requires constant resupply just to maintain orbit." But Nixera couldn't shake her unease. She participated in 17 planetary conquests, and something felt different about this one. The humans' responses seemed too coordinated for a species supposedly fractured by national rivalries. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in Earth's Quantum Command Center, Admiral Blackwood watched the Kraxan fleet's formation with satisfaction. "They're detecting the deliberate leaks we planted," she noted to her staff. "Just enough to make their more observant officers nervous, but not enough to break their leadership's overconfidence." The massive holographic display showed hundreds of Kraxan warships moving into position around Earth. They were arranging themselves in their standard intimidation pattern, positioning for maximum visual impact when they revealed themselves to the planet below. "Quantum analysis confirms they're following textbook invasion protocols," reported General Santos. "They'll decloak their fleet at dawn over major population centers, expecting mass panic. Have our civilian population maintain their roles," Blackwood ordered. "The performance of a lifetime. People, let's give them the reaction they're expecting." Back on the Kraxan flagship, Nixera continued her analysis. The humans' response to first contact had followed predicted patterns of a pre-spacefaring civilization. Yet, High Commander, with respect, I've noticed their military movements seem almost too chaotic. Explain, Vexthal demanded, his attention finally caught by her persistence. Their forces appear to be responding randomly to our presence, but there's an underlying pattern. It's as if, she hesitated, knowing how impossible it sounded, as if their apparent disorganization is choreographed. In her secure bunker, Sarah Chen received the intercepted conversation through quantum channels. They have a sharp one there, she commented to Admiral Blackwood's avatar. Should we adjust our performance? No, Blackwood replied after a moment's consideration. Let them have their doubts. It'll make the revelation all the sweeter when it comes. Across Earth's surface, the elaborate deception continued. News networks broadcasted stories of failing diplomatic negotiations. Social media buzzed with manufactured panic and conspiracy theories. Military units moved in seemingly uncoordinated patterns that actually positioned them perfectly for the coming conflict. On the Kraxan flagship, Vexthal reviewed the final invasion plans with his command staff. The humans' primitive sensors won't detect our fleet until we choose to reveal ourselves. Their weapons cannot penetrate even our lowest-level shields. Victory is assured. High Commander, Nyxera interjected, I recommend we conduct more detailed scans of their lunar surface. There are anomalous readings coming from the far side. Enough. Vexthal's scales flashed with irritation. Your overcaution borders on insubordination, Captain. These humans still burn fossil fuels for energy. Their most advanced AI systems barely qualify as sophisticated calculators. They are primitive, and they will submit or be subjugated like all the others. In the Quantum Command Center, Admiral Blackwood watched the exchange with grim satisfaction. Their arrogance is their weakness, she noted. They're so convinced of their superiority that they're ignoring the warning signs. The holographic display updated, showing the Kraxan fleet's final attack positions. Every ship was exactly where Earth's defense grid needed them to be. Hidden weapon platforms, disguised as space debris, silently tracked their targets. The quantum AI systems had already calculated firing solutions for every vessel in the alien fleet. Time to invasion? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Dawn over the major population centers, Blackwood replied. 6 hours from now, they'll decloak their fleet in what they expect to be an overwhelming show of force. She smiled. Instead, they'll learn that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to surprise those who underestimate us. As the hours ticked down, Earth's hidden defenses remained poised and ready. The trap was nearly sprung, and the Kraxan Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about judging a civilization by its apparent technological level. In high orbit, Nyxera made one final attempt to voice her concerns, but her warnings fell on deaf ears. The mighty Kraxan fleet maintained its position, never realizing they were exactly where humanity wanted them to be. Want me to continue with Part 4? Dawn broke over Earth's major cities as the Kraxan fleet shimmered into visibility. 300 warships filled the skies, their crystalline hulls catching the morning light in a deliberately intimidating display. On the ground, millions of cameras captured the moment, exactly as planned. High Commander Vexthal stood triumphantly on his flagship's bridge. Begin the demonstration. Target their primitive satellite network first. Energy weapons lanced out from dozens of Kraxan vessels, streaking toward Earth's communications satellites. At that precise moment, Admiral Blackwood spoke a single word into her quantum comm. Execute. The energy beams struck something invisible several thousand kilometers above Earth's surface, dissipating harmlessly against a barrier that shouldn't have existed. Vexthal's triumphant expression froze. Impossible, he whispered. A new voice filled every communication channel on every Kraxan ship, broadcasting simultaneously in perfect Kraxan language. This is Admiral Reyna Blackwood of the United Earth Defense Force. Thank you for positioning your fleet exactly where we wanted it. The space around the Kraxan fleet shimmered as humanity's quantum camouflage systems deactivated. Massive defense platforms emerged from seemingly empty space, their weapons already locked on target. Behind Earth's moon, rising like a mechanical leviathan, Earth's true space fleet revealed itself. Vessels that dwarf the largest Kraxan ships. Scanning malfunction. Nyx Era shouted, her instruments suddenly showing power readings that broke every scale. These energy signatures, they're beyond anything in our database. By the ancient stars, someone whispered on the Kraxan command channel. They've been watching us, playing us. Indeed we have. Blackwood's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. For 15 years, we've studied your empire, your technology, your tactics. Every move you've made since entering our solar system has been anticipated and planned for. The moon's far side opened like a blooming flower, revealing vast shipyards and defense installations. Artificial structures larger than cities emerged from Earth's oceans, their quantum shields dropping to show humanity's true technological achievements. Impossible, Vexthal roared. You're a primitive species. Your technology is centuries beyond yours, Blackwood interrupted. What you saw was a carefully crafted illusion. Those chemical rockets, decoys, the primitive satellites, camouflaged quantum sensors, even your scans of our planet showed you exactly what we wanted you to see. Around the Kraxan fleet, thousands of smaller craft emerged from quantum camouflage, Earth's autonomous defense drones, each carrying weapons that could pierce Kraxan shields as if they were tissue paper. Your conquest of 17 civilizations made you overconfident, Blackwood continued. You never considered that a species might hide its true capabilities, that we might choose to appear weak while preparing for this very moment. On the Kraxan flagship's bridge, Nyx Era's instruments showed the true extent of Earth's defenses. High Commander, we're surrounded. Their weapon systems, the energy readings are beyond theoretical limits. Our shields want. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and engines. Blackwood's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Any hostile action will be met with immediate response. Your ships are already targeted. Choose wisely. Vexthal stared at the displays in shock as the full truth dawned on him. Every scan, every analysis, every assumption about Earth had been wrong. His mighty invasion fleet was now trapped in a web of their own making. In her command center, Admiral Blackwood watched as the Kraxan fleet's energy signatures fluctuated. They're realizing it now, she commented to her staff. The greatest military power they've ever encountered wasn't some distant empire or ancient race. It was the primitive planet they thought would be an easy conquest. The quantum displays showed panic spreading through the Kraxan fleet as ship after ship discovered their weapons and engines were already locked down by Earth's quantum interference fields. The mighty invasion force had become prisoners in the space of minutes, without a single shot fired. Your empire's protocol for first contact with primitive species was remarkably predictable. Blackwood broadcast to the fleet. Now shall we discuss new terms for our civilization's relationship, this time as equals. The silence from the Kraxan fleet was deafening. Humanity's trap had sprung perfectly, and the galaxy's balance of power had shifted in the space of a single dawn. Would you like me to continue with the final part? 1 month after what historians would later call the Revelation, High Commander Vexthal stood before the Kraxan Imperial Council, but not as a conqueror. Instead, he was there to sign the Earth-Kraxan Cooperation Treaty, with Admiral Blackwood standing as humanity's representative. The Imperial Palace's Grand Chamber, once a symbol of Kraxan superiority, now felt somewhat diminished. The councilors' crystalline thrones no longer sparkled with quite the same brilliance, not since they'd learned their empire wasn't the technological marvel they'd believed it to be. The terms are fair, Blackwood addressed the council, her quantum translator perfectly rendering her words in the Kraxan language. Earth seeks partnership, not dominance. Your empire will retain its autonomy, but the era of forced protection ends today. The Imperial Council shifted uncomfortably, their scaled features showing various degrees of acceptance and resistance. First Speaker Kurel finally broke the silence. How did your species advance so far without detection? Blackwood allowed herself a small smile. Necessity and patience. When we first detected your empire's expansion centuries ago, we realized we had two choices: reveal ourselves and risk conflict, or prepare in secret. We chose the latter. The quantum displays showed the extent of Earth's hidden influence. Deep space monitoring stations disguised as rogue planets, research outposts camouflaged as asteroids, and diplomatic networks that had operated undetected within the Empire for decades. Your conquest of other worlds taught us valuable lessons, Blackwood continued. Each civilization you subjugated revealed more about your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. We learned from their mistakes. Captain Nixera, newly promoted for being the only one to notice the anomalies during the invasion, stepped forward. But the technological gap, it's beyond anything we thought possible. Because you assumed technological advancement must be visible, Sarah Chen replied, her avatar joining the discussion through quantum projection. Humanity learned long ago that true power lies not in displaying strength, but in choosing when to reveal it. The council chamber's displays showed the transformation happening across Earth. Quantum shields dropping to reveal vast cities that put Kraxan architecture to shame. Transport systems that made hyperspace travel look primitive, and energy production that defied the Empire's understanding of physics. Your Empire stands at a crossroads, Blackwood addressed the council. The treaty before you offers partnership in scientific exchange, cultural understanding, and mutual defense. Earth is willing to share some of our advancements in exchange for peaceful cooperation. First Speaker Carell's scales shifted in what humans now recognized as resigned acceptance. And if we refuse, then you retain your current technology level, and we maintain our watchful presence, Blackwood replied simply. But consider this. If one primitive planet could advance this far in secret, how many others might be out there, waiting and watching? The implication sent a visible shudder through the council. The galaxy they thought they understood had suddenly become much larger and more complex. In orbit above the Kraxan homeworld, Earth's quantum fleet maintained its silent vigil. The ships represented only a fraction of humanity's true military power, but their presence served as a constant reminder of the new reality. The treaty is signed, Blackwood announced hours later, addressing the United Earth Defense Council through Quantum Link. The Kraxan Empire has agreed to all terms. And the other subjugated worlds, President Garcia asked, will be given the choice of independence or continued association with a reformed Kraxan Empire, Chen replied. Under Earth's supervision, of course. As the council session concluded, Admiral Blackwood stood at the palace's observation deck, watching ships from both civilizations moving through the sunset sky. Captain Nixera joined her, curiosity evident in her posture. What happens now? The Kraxan officer asked. Blackwood smiled. Now we build something new. Your people have much to teach us about galactic politics and interspecies relations. We have much to share about technological innovation and peaceful advancement. And the other spacefaring civilizations will learn that the galaxy is more complex than they imagined, Blackwood replied. That true strength isn't always visible, and that humanity's greatest power has always been our ability to surprise those who underestimate us. As night fell on the Kraxan capital, the stars seemed to shine with new possibility. The age of conquest had ended, replaced by an era of cooperation and mutual respect, enforced by the watchful eyes of a humanity that had mastered the art of hiding in plain sight. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly as humanity had planned it.